So, you're gearing up for the Certified Professional Biller exam. You probably know that just submitting a claim is, well, it's only the very first step. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and give you a strategic preview of the entire financial life cycle. This is the kind of thinking that separates a good biller from a truly great one, and it's the absolute key to crushing the CPB. Most study guides focus almost entirely on getting that claim out the door. But let's be real. The real work, and where all the biggest compliance risks are hiding, happens after that claim is sent. It happens across the entire revenue journey. Seriously, think about it. A paid claim isn't the finish line. It's just a check payment. What happens when that payment is wrong, or when the patient's share is still hanging out there? This is where a certified professional really proves their worth. From the second a patient gets on the schedule to the moment their account finally hits zero, every single dollar is on a journey. And that journey is surrounded by a complex web of rules, regulations, and, yeah, a ton of potential compliance traps. And that right there is the crucial point. The exam isn't just about whether you can fill out a claim form correctly. It's designed to see if you can manage the entire financial health and compliance of a medical practice from beginning to end. And honestly, this is where we see so many smart candidates get tripped up. They memorize the definition of accounts receivable, but they can't actually explain how an overpayment triggers a refund, which then messes with AR, all while juggling some pretty strict compliance rules. It's a domino effect. And if you can't see how the dominoes are connected, the exam is going to be tough. The biggest mistake is focusing on one single task instead of the entire system. To pass the CPB, you've got to develop what we call revenue cycle thinking. So, let's take a look at what that actually feels like. At Exam Coaches, we break this whole life cycle down into key, interconnected stages. I'm going to walk you through a few of them right now, just to show you the kind of structure we use to build that powerful end-to-end thinking. All right, let's kick things off with refunds. It sounds simple, right? But oh boy, this is a massive compliance checkpoint. An overpayment isn't just free money for the practice. It's a liability, and it has to be handled correctly and fast. So we don't just give you a definition and call it a day. No way. We train you to analyze the situation like a detective. Was it a duplicate payment? Was the copay calculated wrong? Who gets the money back? And what's the exact procedure to keep the practice safe in an audit? Now here's a classic exam-style question for you. The answer isn't just about who gets the money, it's about the logic and the regulations behind the why. Hold that thought. Let's move on to the next piece of this puzzle. Next up, and this one is huge, is provider credentialing. This is the absolute foundation of billing. If you get this wrong, literally nothing else matters. It's the process that says, yes, this provider is qualified and can get paid by insurance. You have to stop thinking about credentialing as just administrative paperwork. It's not. It is a direct pipeline to revenue. The second a provider's credentials expire, claims start getting denied. It's a simple, brutal cause and effect relationship that you have to be on top of. This question gets into the weeds of network participation. Are there workarounds? Maybe. But what are the compliance risks? That's what a certified professional needs to know. All right, let's talk about accounts receivable, or AR. Think of this as the heartbeat monitor for a practice's financial health. It's the grand total of everything that's owed from both patients and insurance companies. Managing AR turns you into part detective, part financial analyst. You're hunting down unpaid claims, you're fighting denials, and you're using aging reports to figure out which accounts need your attention right now, before they become impossible to collect. And this is where strategy really comes into play. You just can't chase every single dollar with the same amount of energy. A certified biller knows exactly how to prioritize their time and effort based on what that AR report is telling them.
Okay, so you're collecting that money, but you have to follow the rules of engagement. And fair debt isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's federal law. The FDCPA sets very strict limits on how you can go about collecting those balances.
Think of these as the absolute guardrails. You have to be persistent, sure, but you also have to be compliant. That means no harassing patients, no making stuff up, and yes, it even means you can't call them before 8 in the morning or after 9 at night, in their time zone. The CPB exam is going to test if you know exactly where that line is, because understanding that difference is what protects you, protects the patient, and protects the entire practice from some really serious trouble. This leads us right into our next topic, patient statements. This is your #1 communication tool for explaining to a patient what they owe and why. And let me tell you, clarity is everything here. A good statement is easy to understand. It's transparent, it prevents confusion, it cuts down on those angry phone calls, and, you guessed it, it makes it way more likely that you're going to get paid and get paid faster. So, picture it. A patient calls up and disputes a charge. Your statement is your first line of defense. Does it have everything it needs to back you up and be considered compliant? And finally, we get to the end of the road for some financial relationships. Patient dismissal. This is a very serious step, and it has to be done 100% by the book, no shortcuts. Look, a provider can't just wake up one morning and decide they're done with a patient. There has to be a valid, documented reason, like not paying bills, being abusive, or constantly missing appointments. And the whole process has to follow strict rules to avoid any accusations of patient abandonment. This is a really complex question, blending ethics and law. The answer depends on a few different factors, and a certified professional biller needs to know every single one of them cold.
So, we just flew through 6 different topics. But here's the big secret, the most important takeaway. They are not separate concepts. They are all gears in a single interconnected machine.
When a payment is off, the refund process is what makes it right. It ensures financial accuracy. Proper credentialing is the key that unlocks the door for the practice to even get reimbursed in the first place. AR is your financial dashboard. It gives you that real-time view of where every dollar is at any given moment. The Fair Debt Laws are the official rulebook, making sure that when you collect that money, you're doing it ethically and legally. And your patient statements are the crucial tool you use to clearly and professionally communicate what's owed. And finally, dismissal is that formal last step when the financial relationship just can't continue. See how it all connects? An expired credential causes a denial, which inflates your AR, which leads to a patient statement that has to follow fair debt rules. It's all one big flowing system. And that right there is what we mean by revenue cycle thinking. It's the ability to see the entire chessboard, not just the piece you're about to move. This is the absolute core of how we teach. We don't just want you to know what a refund is. We train you to understand why it's happening, how it's going to impact the practice's bottom line, and what your compliance duties are at every single step of the way. Because at the end of the day, passing the CPB exam isn't about memorizing a dictionary of billing terms. It's about fundamentally understanding how money actually moves through the complicated, fascinating world of healthcare. When you get that, you're not just ready for an exam. You're ready to be an indispensable part of any healthcare team.